Everyone, it's finally happening. The Recluse, the PvE slaying machine lord itself, is getting nerfed. Also One-Eyed Mask, but we'll talk about that later. These nerfs are slated for the start of next season, Season 9. How is the Recluse getting nerfed, you ask? Well, let's temper some expectations. The precision damage modifier on the weapon was removed. So essentially, you're going to need to aim for the head now. This is easily one of the best parts of the weapon. The fact that you could get body shots with Master of Arms that dealt 99% of what a headshot did. This allowed you to not only shoot completely mindlessly, but also efficiently at targets when they weren't looking at you, had difficult to hit crit spots, or literally any shield. Not to mention, in PvP was near unstoppable if you had Master of Arms procced in the correct range. Slayrage very recently did a great video on the strengths of Recluse, and I've linked it in the description. I highly suggest checking it out. I don't think this nerf makes Recluse garbage in any way. In fact, it's still going to be one of the top weapons in the game quite easily. But instead of being light years ahead of everything else, the gap's coming down to maybe like a single light year. In PvE, the main thing is that it won't be the ultimate shield destroyer that it currently is, but shields are a rather small portion of the game. PC players have a pretty easy time sniping super far away targets with Master of Arms procced, and that is more or less seeming like it's going to come to an end with this nerf, but otherwise, the gun is not that hard to handle on PC, so hitting headshots isn't really that unreasonable within normal SMG ranges. Console can handle normal SMG ranges for the most part, but it's much more difficult for every meter you are away from your target. In PvP, you're not going to be able to body shot kill someone in 0.53 seconds with Recluse procced. Considering this weapon is part of the most obnoxious loadout in Destiny's history, I'm completely fine with this. The weapon is insane, we all know it's insane, it snowballs super hard, especially combined with One-Eyed Mask, and I know I'm pretty tired of it, and I imagine a lot of other people are tired of it too. Again, PC aiming to the head is very easy, but considering the nature of PvE versus PvP, it's a bit harder to hit headshots in PvP, generally speaking. The weapon is still going to be very good regardless. I think the other nerf that people were considering was removing the ability to proc Master of Arms on Recluse kills so that you couldn't just chain it forever and you would actually have to swap it back and forth. This change would make the weapon more about opportunities to use the weapon as opposed to a weapon that you just use all the time. But Recluse is technically a primary style weapon, so having a primary style weapon have to be used in the style of a special weapon maybe didn't sit too well if Bungie didn't want people to roll with two primary weapons in PvE. I think most people would say, well, that's just the choice you make, at least for PvP, and I would agree for the most part. But a nerf like that would definitely put a big dent in the weapon in PvE, and I'm guessing Bungie still wants the weapon to be usable in PvE, otherwise they would have done something else probably. But pinnacle weapons were allegedly designed with the concept that they were mainly good from the specific activity you earned them in, and making it so you could only proc Master of Arms from other weapon kills would hit it hard in PvE, but would probably fit the PvP activity pinnacle limiter quite well. It would become a weapon that's used in specific circumstances, like a special weapon. Nerfing Master of Arms itself, the buff, in some way was also a possibility, but as soon as it drops to around or below other damage perks, appeal goes way down. Personally, I'm probably still going to keep using it. It feels like it's still going to be miles ahead of everything. I think the only way that I would be happy with this gun at this point is if Bungie literally removed it from the game or nerfed it so badly that it was basically removed from the game. Seeing as that's never going to happen, I am out of luck there. I know many people don't share that exact same sentiment, and, that's fine. Could I use something else? Sure. Am I going to be as powerful as I could be as a result? Probably not. It's really not that hard to find yourself just defaulting back to spraying a Recluse everywhere. Next up is One-Eyed Mask. One-Eyed Mask is getting its overshield removed. You will still have the health generation and all that other stuff, but the overshield is now gone. This nerf definitely feels more directed towards 2v1 engagements or follow-up engagements where you find a Titan that just killed someone and they have an overshield, or if you were in a 2v1 situation and the Titan gets a kill, instantly regens all of their health with an overshield and kills you in return. It is unknown if the health regeneration speed is being changed in any way to compensate for the loss of the overshield. What this will not do is change 1v1 situations where you're being tracked or anything like that, which is something that I feel like the community wanted changed more, although the benefits from One-Eyed Mask are all pretty universally hated. As a result, I think One-Eyed Mask is still going to be used quite a lot, probably still the #1 Titan PvP exotic, because it's still just a really good effect as a whole. You don't get as much bang for your buck with other Titan exotics playing any given game of PvP. Is One-Eyed Mask the only good Titan PvP exotic? No. Are there any other exotics on its level, though, where you just put it on and it does all the work for you? I would argue, not really. Mask of the Quiet One seems like a contender, but its health regen on kill is only health, not shields. Better than nothing, sure, but it's not One-Eyed Mask. Skullfort is up there, but it needs a very one-dimensional play style of shoulder charge. Everything. Forever. Syntheseps are good, but are melee-based for the most part. Peregrines, Mark 44 Standicides, Dune Marchers, a lot more melee-based stuff. These are good exotics, but they're not One-Eyed Mask good. One-Eyed Mask just does things in the background while you're in gunfights. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to change your playstyle to accommodate for it. It just does a thing, and that's it. With Skullfort, you need to change your playstyle. With Syntheseps, you need to be more aggressive. With Peregrines, you need to be on shoulder charge and put yourself in dangerous situations. I think the closest thing to One-Eyed Mask is something like Mask of the Quiet One, followed by Armamentarium or Lion Rampant, where you don't actually need to think about the exotic perk. It's just there. This is what makes these exotics appealing. Sure, a good player can grab Wormgod Caress and chain together a bunch of throwing hammer kills and make it seem like it's the most broken thing in the world, but I don't think that makes Wormgod Caress a good overall PvP exotic. It can be a good one, but by default, I don't think it is. Sure, a good player can grab Antaeus Wards and know the timing to slide to reflect something, but I don't think that makes Antaeus Wards a good PvP exotic. It can be a good one. Good players can make situational exotics good or seem really good, but the average player is probably not doing that. If they were, these exotics would be a lot more popular. I think how good something is needs to factor in how easy it is to use. One-Eyed Mask is very easy to use. Other exotics are not as easy, and One-Eyed Mask provides insane bonuses for its ease of use. I'm not really going to talk about it in PvE, because there's far better choices for PvE, and this is not a PvE-focused nerf. So, are the days of One-Eyed Mask, Mountaintop, Recluse spamming Titans over? No. Will they still be annoying? Yes. Will they be as annoying? Statistically speaking, no, but realistically, probably. These are pretty soft touches that will keep these items as contenders. I wonder if player tracking is the regenerating special ammo of Destiny 2. Foe Tracer also has tracking, and I think is quite underrated as an exotic, but it doesn't get the same flack as One-Eyed Mask because it's not as powerful, combined with the fact that hunters have Stompies and Wormhusk. They have options, is what I'm saying. I wonder if it's something that Bungie will address in the future. Should the ability to track players so strongly stay in the game outside of things like Shadow Shot? Should they be on exotics or skills or anything like that? Another conversation for another day. Finally, Xenophage was introduced into the game very undertuned and will be getting a 50% PvE damage buff and also get an extra shot or two in PvP from the heavy ammo crate. I thought ammo capacity was more of a concern at first, but Bungie's rationale is that this is more of a grenade launcher style exotic where you get big chunks of damage per shot. It's obviously not like a regular machine gun at all. The damage just wasn't there. Now it's getting buffed, and I'll be interested to see how it ends up comparing to 120 RPM grenade launchers after its buff. This is a good buff. Let's see where it lands the gun. I don't think anyone has an issue with Xenophage, of all things, getting a buff, at least right now. That's all I got on the nerfs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.